Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we're going to deconstruct a guide that's been making some serious waves online. It's the World Council for Health's Spike Protein Detox Guide, which was broken down in an article by Dr. Joseph Mercola. Our job today is to walk through exactly what this guide claims and the solutions it puts forward, all based on that source material. So let's dive right in.
So here's the game plan. First, we're going to get a handle on the main idea behind this whole thing. Then, we'll check out the two toolkits the guide suggests. One is all about chemicals and substances, and the other is about lifestyle habits. And we'll wrap it all up with a look at their top 10 essentials list. All right, so first things first, what's the fundamental claim being made here? Well, the whole detox guide really hinges on one single concept, the idea that something called the spike protein can cause potential harm. And to really get a sense of the seriousness that the guide is trying to convey, you just have to look at this quote. It pulls from Dr. Peter McCullough, calling it a deadly protein. That one phrase pretty much sets the stage for the entire problem this guide is trying to solve. So, what exactly is this spike protein? The way the article explains it, it's a piece of the SARS-CoV-2 virus, but it's also something your body learns to make after a COVID-19 injection. And the central argument here is that this protein, all by itself, can cause inflammation and even damage to our vascular system. And the claims don't stop there. The guide suggests these circulating spike proteins can actually build up in various organs and tissues throughout the body. And it links this accumulation to a whole host of potential problems, everything from blood clots and brain fog, all the way to serious conditions like myocarditis. Okay, so now that we understand the problem as it's presented in the source material, let's pivot to the solution they propose. And that is, of course, the detox guide itself. So who's the group behind all this? Well, the guide comes from the World Council for Health. The article describes them as a global coalition, basically a network of different health-focused groups from around the world. And what's the end goal here? What's this guide actually trying to do? Well, its stated purpose is to give people simple, actionable things they can do to help their bodies clear out any lingering spike protein and hopefully guard against that potential damage we just talked about. Now we're getting into the real nuts and bolts of the guide. It lays out a pretty detailed toolkit of different substances, and it breaks them down into a few key categories based on what they supposedly do. Okay, and this is where it gets really interesting. The guide basically proposes a two-pronged attack. On one hand, you've got inhibitors. Think of these as bodyguards that stop the spike protein from attaching to your cells. Then, on the other hand, you have neutralizers, which are supposed to disarm the spike protein that's already floating around. So let's talk about those bodyguards, the inhibitors. The guide puts forward a few options. It mentions ivermectin, but also points to a lot of natural sources, like compounds you can find in pine needles, neem, and even in dandelion leaf extract. And then we have the neutralizers. Remember, these are the substances the guide claims can render the spike protein harmless. The list here includes things like the antioxidants, NAC, and glutathione, but also some common household items like fennel tea, star anise tea, and of course, good old vitamin C. The guide also zeroes in on inflammation. Specifically, it targets a pro-inflammatory molecule called IL-6. And here you can see its approach pretty clearly. It identifies a problem, in this case, inflammation, and then lists natural things that it claims can help, like curcumin from turmeric or quercetin, which you find in things like onions and citrus fruits. And it gets even more granular from there. The guide talks about blocking two specific enzymes, furin and serine protease, which it kind of describes as cellular doormen that let the virus in. The idea is, if you can block these doormen with things like green tea or hesperidin, you can prevent the spike protein from getting into your cells to begin with. Okay, so we've talked a lot about different supplements and substances, but that's only half the picture, according to this guide. It also lays out a whole toolkit of lifestyle strategies that are designed to help your body's own natural detoxification systems. One of the biggest lifestyle recommendations is what's called time-restricted eating. The concept is pretty simple. You just eat all your meals within a 6 to 8 hour window each day. The reason, according to the guide, is that this kicks on a process called autophagy, which is basically your body's cellular cleanup crew, going around and recycling damaged parts, which they say can include those unwanted spike proteins. Another big one in the lifestyle toolkit is using a sauna. The guide points to sweating as a really powerful detox method, but it also claims other perks, like improving your blood flow and triggering the release of heat shock proteins, which are apparently great for helping your cells repair themselves.
Phew, okay, that was a lot of information, right? We've gone through different chemicals, herbs, and lifestyle changes. So, to kind of bring it all together and make it a bit more manageable, the guide wraps everything up with a simple top 10 list of its most important recommendations.
And here you have it, what the guide calls the top 10 essentials. This list is basically presented as the starting lineup, the foundational protocol for anyone who wants to follow these recommendations. You'll see a mix of things we've already talked about: vitamins like D and C, minerals like zinc and magnesium, and other compounds like NAC, curcumin, and ivermectin. So there you have it, our complete walkthrough of the Spike Protein Detox Guide. We looked at the core problem it presents, the chemical tools it offers, and the lifestyle changes it suggests. This guide clearly offers one particular perspective on how to approach wellness. So the question I'll leave you with is this: what new questions does this point of view bring up for you?